Alright, so we will make hummus today and I will show you how easy it is to make it. But safety first. Whenever you're using any power equipment, you make sure that you're able to put it together correctly, but before you put it together or use it, do not plug it in. Always plug it in at the very end. Alright, so here we have a food processor. It's a pretty heavy duty food processor. You should know how to work it. If you don't know how to use it, make sure you have the instruction manual or you have someone who's familiar with its operation. Safety is always first. So we're going to put this receptacle, lock it into place. We'll take the blades and we will drop them until they're seated. Right? Again, do not plug it in. So what else do we need besides our equipment? And by the way, this is the lid, and then this is the thing that goes in the chute to make sure that the safety switch is connected. Now, what do we need to make our hummus? Today I'm going to make our hummus with 2 cans of Goya garbanzo beans. That's all it takes. And then I have the tahini sesame paste, which is basically sesame paste made out of roasted sesame seeds. These are the cans of chickpeas that are easily available from any store. Other than that, we have a strainer and a measuring cup. I don't really need to measure anything as such, but this has a spout and it's helpful to pour because, as you'll see, I'm not going to throw away the water that comes out of these cans. You will also need 1 whole lemon, a knife and a cutting board, of course, to cut it. So the ingredients that go in the hummus that I'm making today is 2 cans of garbanzo beans, 1 cup of tahini paste, and 1 lemon. Let us begin by opening these chickpea cans and then draining out the fluid into that measuring cup. Be extra careful to not cut yourself over the sharp edges of the lid over here. This can be as sharp as any knife, so be extra careful. I'm touching it just to show it to you. Keep your fingers away from it. Again, safety first. Now we have this can of garbanzo beans and I'm going to empty them into this strainer to carefully collect all the water into that measuring cup. Make sure there's no peas left in it. Oops, there's one. And then shake it a little bit and then move it over to the food processor and put all the garbanzo beans into the food processor. And then you do the same thing with the other one. So now that we have 2 cans of garbanzo beans in this food processor, there's a couple things to remember. One, don't be shy about making a really smooth paste. So don't worry about how long you have to run the food processor to reach that state. But having said that, you don't want the beans to start cooking from the heat of the high-speed blades. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep introducing this water that I collected from the cans to ensure that I have the consistency I want and that the mixture is not overheating. Some people use ice. I'm not going to do that today. Carefully put this thing back together. Drop this into the chute. This goes on the other side here in order to activate the switch. And now I plug it in. All right, let's go for it. So what you'll notice is that the beans jumped up and started sticking to the side of the container, so we have to push them down. What I'll do is I'll introduce some of this water. that certainly help. But at some point we need to stop, open the lid and push them down. So I have these two silicone implements. Make sure you don't end up cutting them on the blades. So I'm going to open this lid here and make sure this is pushed in. See, it's kind of getting solid, so we'll put some more water in there too. Put some of this water here. So as you can see, it looks like it's becoming very smooth and it's at the consistency that I want. Don't be too afraid if it's very runny, or not very runny, but a little runny, because it will solidify once it sets. And let's see what it looks like. I'm going to run it a little bit more because it still looks a little bit clumpy. So it looks like it's getting to the point where I want it. Let's open this up. And it just looks fabulous. So let's take a cup of this tahini sauce and drop it in there. Should do it. One thing that I forgot to mention was salt. It's always safer to use less salt than more. So I use this pink Himalayan salt. You can use any salt you like. And then I'm going to drop 1 small teaspoon, maybe a pinch more in there. And that should be more than enough. And then we have our lemon. If the lemon's from the fridge, it will also serve to cool it. As I mentioned earlier, you don't want it to cook when you're blending it from the heat of the blades. Make sure you use a strainer if you don't want the seeds in there. Make sure that strainer catches all the seeds. To make sure I've squeezed all the goodness out of this lemon. Got all the seeds, as well as take a spoon and then catch this, get this part. Now that all the seeds are in the strainer, it's safe to do this directly over the tahini and hummus. Here's a seed there. Make sure you drop the seed in there. And I think that's more than enough. And then make sure any lemon juice got here is also used. Drop that over there. Over there. Put the lid back on. And just blend some more. Make sure it's mixed. I think it's time to taste it. Oh yeah. Very, very good. Tastes delicious. I'm just going to blend it just a little bit more, and then I'm going to pour it into my bowl. So now it's time to put it in your container or your dish if you're serving it. I'm not serving it immediately, so what I'll do is I'll just pour it into this cup, which might be a little too small, or bowl, not a cup. So now, what's important is that we take the back of a spoon. This is the same spoon that I used on the lemon, so that's fine. And we kind of smooth it out, flatten it out. And we want a little groove in there where you will put your olive oil. There's never enough olive oil to garnish your hummus. Right? I have this olive oil from Costco. It's hard to do this with the camera in front of my face, but I think I've got it. And then I have sumac. I would have preferred the actual seed that I would have crushed myself, but this is all I have right now, so just spread like this. And voila, hummus is ready.